I've got chips flying everywhere. Today, I'm going to go ahead and run my 562 XP with a 20-inch bar and the Firewood Pro Sizer. I went ahead and transferred it off of my 28-inch bar Echo just to see how it feels, because I want to get some time on here. I want to see what it's like working with a laser on a short bar versus a long bar. If you watch the channel often, you'll notice I normally have a different bar. That's because I've got something else going on with my lighter weight 20-inch Oregon bar. I've got an idea. I've done this a little differently. This is only the second time I'm setting up the laser. I think no matter what, it's a good idea to have some sort of guide cut. Now, some people might be and say, well, why don't you just use that every single time? Well, the reality is if you don't have to use a little pipe like this or a piece of wood every single time, you're going to be faster. With the Firewood Pro Sizer comes the proper Allen wrenches to adjust this and this. I'm not a big fan of using little L wrenches. Certainly you can do that. So what I did is I went ahead and grabbed my own little T-handle here. You know, it needs to be adjusted. I just have it on there with enough friction to be able to start adjusting it. Now listen, when you move this a little bit down here, it moves a lot over here. I'm gonna go ahead and get this laser powered on here, and we'll take a look at where we're at. So you can see kind of the process here. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and start tightening these up. Now what you'll notice is as I tighten one side, it moves it. So you have to kind of equally tighten them, and when you finish up, you need to be back to where you were. It's kind of almost like a fine adjustment. So if you tilt this, you're gonna be off by quite a bit. I need to adjust the laser down. So as you can see, this is not something that you want to just do all the time. It really is not. I don't want to constantly change up my bars and chainsaws. Definitely, you always want to be utilizing the same part of the bar to measure from. But I think this is going to get me in a good ballpark right here. I'm going to just go ahead and just tighten that down ever so slightly more. And then I'm going to go ahead and suit up and I'm going to start cutting. This is a freshly filed chain here. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off to preserve some battery life. Go ahead and get this saw started up. I think my Pro Sizer is way out of adjustment right now. No, it's right there. I just need to practice. Fast idle. Right there. Right there, okay. I've got it. What I've done is I just went ahead and bucked up some stuff with that 562. I came over here and started bucking on this. I really was not wanting to because the wood was dirty. It had mud slathered on it and all that, but I figured it's better to have to fix a 20-inch chain than the 28-inch on the Echo. It's still cutting well right now. You can see I've got chips flying everywhere, okay? This is, I've been cutting a lot of hackberry right in here. That one's hackberry, this log was hackberry. This is an oak right here. And there's a lot more oak up in here. I think it's all water oak, but that's hackberry. That does that nice white chip. I'll show you my hand file here. Now this of course has a little bit of time on it now. I'm a little bit, I haven't really hit too much, but I can just see this leading edge is not quite all the way optimal. Now certainly, this could, I think most people would keep going this except for the most picky person on chains. I'm being very cautious with this saw because I've been told, let me turn off that laser there, because you know, bucking around and then moving over and bucking another round is different than cookies. And you know, it's just all that's to it. Now I will say this as well. I have this slid all the way forward here. That is dangerous when you have the shorter bucking spikes, because you could definitely hit this on the log if you're going to go ahead and dog in. So this can probably I can go ahead and just loosen these up and slide it back. What I'm hoping is that I can get in here without readjusting it all. I like the laser on this side versus this side because I find that these they're easier to get to over here. But at the same time, I may have an issue getting in here to loosen these up. I wouldn't mind if those were almost like a hex head, almost like a hex head interior and a hex head outside. I've never seen such a thing, but that would be pretty neat because then you could just you could just take a little wrench on there and because this doesn't need to be real tight. This is tightening on plastic here. This just straight up needs to slide back because this needs to be behind at least the spikes. So the saw's running well so far. I'm going to talk here for a moment. The tank is definitely on the lower side. In fact, it's probably a good time to stop right now. The saw's working. So far, so good. Like I said, I'm trying to go a little bit easier on it. I'm going to go ahead and grab the 620 now. And I'm going to make some bucks because I went ahead and marked a few of these logs up. In fact, what I might do is just go in here and mark a couple more while I have this set up here before I run out of fuel. So that way I can come in here with the 620 and buck it up. That'll be pretty cool. because I'm not going to cut all the way. So I can, and you know what, that's where I'm most likely to hit the dirty wood is right there initially on the top of the cut. So let's go ahead and do that, and then I'll go ahead and get that 620 running. I'm excited to run it. Remember, the rakers are very hungry on that right now. I used the softwood setting on this saw on my Husqvarna raker gauge. I wanted to get a little bit more bite because I've always used the hardwood setting, and you can tell it's just not, it never takes that much material. And I think a lot of people have a perception that maybe the chain is dull because it's just not able to bite very much. Like I said, I did run the softwood setting on this one. So we'll see, you know, that should allow me to do a light touch up on the chain and not touch the rakers again, probably a couple times, as long as I don't really blast it. Let's see if this saw hot starts. Let's go ahead and see. I'm not going to fast idle this because in my opinion, I know that the instruction manual says to do that, but there's people that tell me they don't have to do that. That's good. All right, some 620 action. Boy, that was a lot of fun. Oh, this is almost out of fuel. This was a really interesting thing. I really do like running this this laser. As with every product, there's limitations. That's all that's to it. This is nice because there's no questioning. I mean, some of those where I didn't even trust the laser initially because I thought they looked really long, and they weren't. I mean, I might be like a ½ inch long on them, and I was thinking they looked like 20 inches. So it is nice. There's a lot of people that say, like, you know, that's just a device to hold your hand. I think, you know, to each his own. I mean, you might be able to buck 16 inches long within 1/8 of an inch because you've been bucking rounds for 40 years. I haven't been. And there's a lot of people that haven't been either. And to be honest with you, proportions mess me up. When I'm looking at limb wood this big, or if I'm looking at a round this big, I get messed up on what's 16 inches. And so I'm thankful for something like that. On a long bar, it makes a lot of sense. On the shorter bar, it is nice, but it's a little less beneficial. And I could see how, if you're running a shorter bar, I could definitely see how the zip ties would work fine. But it's this long bar situation where I really wanted to have that laser. Anyway, guys, what an interesting day. I've ran the splitter. I've got a bunch of wood. I've got a bunch of rounds bucked here, and we are ready to go. I've got plenty to split now again, and I'm really curious to see how much wood I'm going to be able to collect off of that one tank, because I brought that over here on a full tank of fuel. Let's see what we can get. I hope you guys are excited as I am. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.